Hello, my name is Vladimir. I'm from Kaunas, from a non-governmental organization, Military Heritage Center, but we are more known as the 7th Fort of Kaunas Fortress. And today I'm glad to speak with you about two projects. Just a moment. One object is a Cold War museum in Jūrmala National Park, a former Soviet missile base, which is converted into a historical museum. And the other is Kaunas Fortress 7th Fort, former military fortification of Kaunas, transformed to a science center. Why two so different objects from different periods, from different places of Lithuania are combined in one presentation? For several reasons. The less important reason is that I have a honor to work with all these projects, but this is not the main reason. The main reason is that all these objects are objects from quite sophisticated military heritage, and the problem to revitalize these objects are quite similar, not only among them, but are general for many other military heritage objects. And the last reason, these two objects already has approximately 15 years of modern history, so we can decide and speak about some success or unsuccess, and to analyze this revitalization story, to learn maybe how it is necessary to do or not necessary to do in revitalization processes. But first of all, I want to keynote some very important point from my experience. As usual, when we work with military heritage, we think that we need restoration, but it is not true. The restoration is possible when you have a function for your future object, and then this function is clear. For example, if you have an old church and want to restore it and use it for the church function, it is not a problem, it is expenses. You need some money, you need some architects, you need some time, and you will have a church. Even if you have a church and want to build a whiskey bar in this church, it is not a problem too, just different drinks on the same table. If you have an old monastery and want to build a hotel in this monastery, actually the function is the same, a living purpose for some persons. But then you have a nuclear missile base. You don't want to launch missile from these bases after restoration. And then you have old brick fort. You are not going to defend your city using 19th century fortification. So you need a new function because original function is obsolete. And when you create a new function, this function should be remarkable for society. This function should be in some good contrast and some good relations with the history and with the territory that have your object, and this is quite hard task. But this is not the only one problem. The second problem with military heritage is such a called dark heritage agenda. I'm not going to speak here a lot about dark heritage because we have an expert, Auguste, she is here. She's much better expert in the dark heritage than me, but I think you agree with me that many military heritage objects, even objects from the Soviet era, from the objects from Russian Empire, are objects with negative background. For us, Soviet period is a trauma. It is period of occupation. We are not fans of Soviet era. We are not fans of Russian Empire. So we could not build a museum for the purpose to glorify the past. And when you start to operate such an object, very often your colleagues start to think that if you are a researcher of Russian Empire, you are a fan of Russian Empire, because they are researcher of Grand Duke of Lithuania, and they are fans of Grand Duke, and then they think that if I am fan of Grand Duke, you are fan of your period, and you're a very bad person, and it is quite difficult, even when you speak with politicians, then you're looking for funding, to describe that if you are walking on the territory of former concentration camp, it is not true that you are a fan of concentration camp and want to destroy persons on the former place. So this negative background is quite a big problem, and it is quite impossible to think about it when you prepare your projects. And maybe the least problem is when we start to think about regeneration or revitalization of some objects, we always want to build museums. I'm a big fan of museums. I visited a lot of museums in Europe, and I am sure that museum is okay, but it is not true that every heritage should become a museum. Because it is better to have less perfect museums than to have a lot of very simple museums with no artifacts, with very tiny amount of visitors, with lack of funding, even when we are not in the center of Paris, if they are not in the center of Berlin, and then we have not millions of tourists. And as you know, in Lithuania and Kaunas we have no millions of tourists, maybe in Latvia you have. So always it is very good to think about other ideas than just to build one more museum. What is the Cold War Museum? The short historical background. It was a nuclear silo base built for the needs of Soviet Union. It was not a unique object. It was a typical construction. For example, in Latvia, you have approximately 5 such bases that you decided to destroy all of them, and now you are paying money for Lithuanians to visit this museum. Thank you. These objects was stopped to operate after the crash of Soviet Empire. It was more or less protected. It is unique that some underground equipment is remained in more or less good condition, so it is not an empty bunker. It has a lot of artifacts. And Žemaitija National Park started to operate this object in 1996, and the great innovation process was finished in 2012, and for today it is the only one museum of such a kind in Europe, and the only one nuclear missile silo in Europe, which is possible to visit as a museum. So it is really unique objects. I recommend you to visit it and to see it. I have a lot of challenge working with objects. I worked as a historian, as a researcher, as an author of museum concept, and as a collector of some artifacts, exponats, and historical materials for this exposition. The exposition is quite big. It is for 2 to 3 hours of visiting. And the main problem is lack of historical information. As you know, that historians start to work with new object, they go to archives, ask for some historical materials, analyze these materials, make some copies, and later this research became the museum exposition with the team of architects, musicians, and so on and so far. Just imagine me traveling to Russian Federation with question, please give me information about the nuclear program, and I need drawings and some rules, because we are just, I'm from NATO, yes, but we are very recently in the nuclear program. It was absolutely impossible, but it was very important for me not to build the exposition on some legends, because my task was to have exposition with strong scientific support. So I managed to collect enough information as historical information and iconographic information, and I'm very happy I have enough time for it. It took approximately 2 years only to collect info, and approximately 2 years for the museum project, so more than 4 years working on one topic practically every day. And another task and problem was that this Soviet bunker, quite ugly Soviet bunker, I believe, is located in the wonderful nature of Žemaitija National Park. And as a biology teacher, I know that when a person is in a real nature, it always feels good emotions. And it was very important for me not to provide dissonance between Soviet concrete bunker and nature of a national park. And it took a lot of work, not only for me, but for architecture parts of this project to organize a good quality of museum exposition with some arts decisions and some other topics to integrate it in one of the best national nature parks of Lithuania. And today it is a question, is this project a success or not? And actually it is not so difficult to measure the success of this project, because after 15 years we see that this object is highlighted as the major tourist attraction in Žemaitija National Park. It quite highly visited, and we have a lot of responses in mass media, in internet, in some databases speaking about this object. For example, we have first place on TripAdvisor, what to do in Platali. Actually, it is not so much to do in Platali, but one of the best success, we have CNN travel recommendation to visit this object as the very remarkable object in the world in the context of Cold War. And CNN travel, it is a huge impact on the world tourism. So actually, I can say that this object represents Lithuania as a country, as a place for visiting, as a place for some intellectual potential, and it is very good when we took an ugly Soviet bunker and transformed it into a place that represents our country. Why we have this success? Then I analyzed a similar object, not in Europe, but in the world. One of them, for example, is in United States of America. USA nuclear missile silo that is transformed to the museum, I noticed that other countries represent their military object to show the power of their army. For example, American museum is museum about possibility to destroy all the world. Our museum is a museum about humanity. Our museum is a museum about idea that it is better not to destroy all the world. And I think this main idea is maybe the main reason why this museum has a success. Another object is 19th century fortification of Kaunas fortress. It is a 7 hectares size brick fort, quite a typical Russian Empire fort. Of course, one of the forts of Kaunas fortress. We have approximately 10 of forts. 7 of them are quite similar. And this fort has a quite difficult historical background. It is not only Russian military architecture, but it is a place of the forced concentration camp. It is a mass murder place. It is a place associated with Kaunas Jews genocide. It is quite sophisticated topic in the Lithuanian history, and it is a place which was neglected by Soviet occupation, was used as a military warehouses, was in a quite bad condition. And when we start to work with this object, and this object is our private property, we started from the museum context. And here I have colleagues from the past of this fort history, but after several years we decided to stop the museum project and to look for a new idea. Why? Because Kaunas has a lot of forts. We don't need 9 museums in every fort. We have no such amount of visitors, and we have no 9 different ideas, and we can answer a question for visitors: why should you visit all the forts as a museums? As for tourists, Kaunas is not the capital of Lithuanian tourism. We have some tourists. We have very nice international art in the Jūrmala exposition, which is worth visiting from abroad, but 7th Fort, proudly saying, is not worth visiting from abroad as a museum. Our museum was quite local. And very important is the economy question. As the non-commercial, non-government organization, we have not funding from budget, so build museum economy was practically impossible. And analyzing all these risks and understanding that if we will try to build a museum, it will be a static museum, it will be a museum with small salaries, it will be a museum without a strong impact to society, we decided to look for other idea, and another idea was education. Now our fort is a school. We work in the field of physics, chemistry, biology, engineering and maths, because for Kaunas such function was and is very important. We have one of the best laboratories for school children. We call them students, but they work with pupils starting from the first grade till 12th grade. And all our casemates now are modern labs not for exhibition, not for demonstration, but for real scientific research. The only difference between our labs and labs in the university is not the equipment. We have the same equipment like university or better equipment like university. The only difference is this is for children. This is for school children, for high schoolers. We have a command of teachers, and we are quite popular because we have not only approximately 500 pupils of our school, but we have a lot of pupils from all the Lithuanian schools who visited our museum, our school for some laboratory works. And how to measure the success? It is such a international European EUCIS contest, which is very famous, and you should know about it a little bit because last year it was in Latvia, in Riga, in Latvia University. It is very prestigious and very important competition for European young scientists, and pupil of our school has the first place in Europe, MEDA, the third place in the world. Martina is the first place in Europe in the field of chemistry, and we have a lot of such success stories. So we see that our project has enough impact for society oriented to the future generation. And to finish my presentation, I want to say you that sometimes we think that we just need some money for heritage and we will decide all the problem. But money never creates. To create something you need an idea. And idea can be created not by money, but by people. So first of all, you need people, you need a dream team, and you need an idea, and every task in the cultural heritage is to transform it from bricks to teams. Today, 7/4 is not a history about bricks. It is a history about people. And here is the last slide. Here is our team. As you see, we are gender neutral and age neutral. These are one of the best teachers of chemistry, biology, maths, sorry, not historians. And we are happy, and for us, 7/4 is the way of life. And we are happy every day being here. So thank you very much. And I want to say a big thank you for Gedrius, who is here, who was the director of National Park of Jūrmala, for the possibility to work on the project of Cold War Museum. Thank you.